Hey everybody, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, everyone. We got a cool video for you today. We've got two very popular invertebrates for fish tanks. The mystery snail versus shrimp. We're going to figure out which one is better. If you've got an opinion, would love to hear from you in the comments section below. So let's get right into it. What's the first thing?
Well, temperament.
Temperament.
Both of them are very aggressive species.
Yeah, if you put your hand in one of these tanks, you're going to lose it. No, these are great additions to a fish tank. Either one, right? Either one goes with a very peaceful sort of fish tank. And we'll sort of get into the differences with tank mates here in a second. But they're both really easygoing and can be a great addition to a lot of community tanks. Next.
Next, you want me to say it?
Sure.
Okay. Activity level.
Now, activity level, which one do you think is more active, just generally speaking?
The shrimp.
Definitely.
Yeah, little helicopters.
So for the most part, shrimp, yeah, they're going to move all around the tank. You're going to see them going from one place to another. Where the mystery snails are, well, they're a little bit more deliberate in their movements, but they can be pretty silly, right?
Oh, for sure. They both have their own individual antics.
And I think one of the cool things about mystery snails is when they climb to the top of the tank and they decide, you know what? I'm not sliding all the way back down this glass. I'm just going to release myself and float down. So they can be very interesting to watch, but I would say the shrimp are just a little bit more active.
They remind me of the Jetsons. If anybody's old enough to remember the Jetsons.
Okay.
Just a side note. All right. So you ready for the next category?
I am.
All right. Are you? Tank size.
Now, when it comes to tank size, they're both relatively small inhabitants. You're probably best off with a 5-gallon or greater. I know that for you, you put some mystery snails in some of your 2.5s when they were smaller.
Yeah, when they're babies.
But the thing is, once they got larger, we moved them to larger tanks. And a mystery snail, a full-grown mystery snail, in something less than a 5-gallon can look a little out of place.
Yeah, a little out of proportion there.
And I think one of the things we have to consider too is the larger the tank you have, the easier it's going to be to maintain stable water parameters. And that's why I say for both the shrimp and the mystery snail, you really want at least a 5-gallon tank. Larger the better, but they'll do well in a smaller tank.
And the worst thing is if you have a small tank with little decorations and stuff and your mystery snail is too big, you run the danger of having them get stuck in a corner.
Or knock them over.
Or knock the decorations over?
Yeah.
That's true. Then you'd be like a little Godzilla.
That's right. Little mystery snail Godzilla.
Next category, I think we should look at cost.
Now, cost gets a little crazy because we've got a lot of varieties. And so I think even before we get into the cost, we could probably talk about the varieties a little bit. And when we're comparing mystery snails versus shrimp, well, shrimp is a huge category, even for freshwater. And so if we just take the shrimp side of things, you've got the Neocaridina, like your common red cherry shrimp, which, by the way, we've done species profiles on mystery snails and shrimp. If you want more information, check out the description below. But red cherry shrimp, you might find them retail $3, $4 a piece, full grown. But then you've got things like blue dream shrimp and the orange and the yellows. Those are all still Neocaridina, but they can cost a little bit more. But that's just the Neocaridina. If you start getting into the Caridina or the Taiwan bees or the really shrimp, now you can look, you could be up at what, $15, $20 a shrimp, where the mystery snails, for the most part, they've got a lot of variety. Mm-hmm. They've got we've got the blues.
The blues, the jades, the purple, magenta, possibly pink. I don't know if pink is considered the same as magenta, but then ivory, gold, and I think that's about.
Yeah, so you've got some variety there. So both of them, I guess, they give you good color variety, but for the most part, the mystery snails are going to start right around $3 or $4 retail, and they might go up from there into what, maybe $8, $9, $10 for the more unusual ones. So depending on what you want, the cost can be all over the place, but I think you could pretty much find an invertebrate inhabitant for just about any situation. And again, when it comes to variety, there's a lot out there. Now, when it comes to algae, I think this is one of the main reasons why people get shrimp and mystery snails. They both do a decent job, but for different reasons. So the mystery snails, I would say, what would you say? They probably do better with the green and the brown algae that are kind of like coating the glass or some of your decorations. Mm-hmm. They're just going along, scrape, scrape, scrape.
Yeah, like biofilm sort of stuff.
The biofilm sort of stuff, exactly. The shrimp, for the most part, I think do a better job on stuff like green hair algae and some of that more stringy stuff that you might see. We put some shrimp in one of our tanks that had some green hair algae and they wiped it out within a few weeks. So they're both going to tackle algae, but they're going to do it potentially in different ways. Now, when it comes to the water parameters here, the mystery snails and the Neocaridina are very similar, where they like water that's neutral or above, slightly harder water. If you've got a lower pH, that's when some of the Caridina shrimp or possibly the Taiwan bees and some of those other shrimp might be a better fit for you. Now, when it comes to planted tanks, what do we think?
I would say both of them are great options. They will both love your planted tanks. Sometimes the snails may kind of graze on your plants that have thinner leaves, and obviously they're going to take care of any kind of dead or dying leaves for you, but both of them should be really great for your planted tanks.
Yeah, and for the most part, again, with the mystery snails, we keep mystery snails in all of our planted tanks and have never had an issue with them eating plants that are healthy. In fact, we even put plants that are covered in algae in our mystery snail breeding tanks, and they clean them off without damaging the plants. We can pull them back out, put them back in the original tank, no problems whatsoever. I think where the confusion comes in with mystery snails is, when you have those really thin-leaved plants, those more delicate plants, could they potentially munch on those from time to time? Potentially. But again, for us and most of the beginner plants, the plants that you would generally be introducing if you have a low-light, low-tech tank, mystery snails are not a problem.
But I will have a little side note here. If you do have any kind of small or microscapes with some micronubias like I do, I wouldn't put a mystery snail in there, because he's going to do a Godzilla thing again and trample right over it, and he might mess up your scape. Absolutely.
Now, tank mates. Here's where things get a little bit interesting. And by the way, if you're looking for mystery snails or any type of shrimp, check out, we have a channel sponsor, Flip Aquatics. We will put their information in the description below. They've got lots of different options when it comes to snails, and certainly that's where they kind of built their business on the shrimp side of things. So there's a lot of cool options, and a lot of the footage that you're seeing, especially of the non-Neocaridina shrimp, that came from Flip Aquatics. So those are the types of shrimp that they have. Really cool. But when it comes to tank mates, here we have to be a little bit careful, because I think this is one of the main differences between the two.
Yeah.
Mystery snails, I think you'll be better off with a mystery snail and having more tank mate options, right? Where the problem with shrimp is the fact that they are small, especially the shrimplets. Just about any fish will eat shrimplets, baby shrimp, because they are tiny. In fact, they can be a little bit hard to see sometimes. But with the mystery snails, the main thing you have to worry about there is if fish eat snails, which that's a limited group of fish for the most part, at least in a community tank, and maybe the fish possibly picking at the snails a little bit. And again, do your homework. In the description, in the videos that I have in the description below, we talk about tank mates for mystery snails and at least for Neocaridina shrimp. Now, if you are interested in breeding shrimp or mystery snails, what one would you think would be easier to breed? Less of a headache?
Shrimp.
Definitely. The nice thing is, if you've got male and female shrimp, you throw them in a tank, you've got the proper water parameters and a good system for them, a good tank for them. They're most likely going to breed with very little interference. With the mystery snails, they too will breed, and they breed fairly easily, but you have to take a couple of added precautions. One, you have to usually you have to lower the water level just a little bit, because they're going to lay their eggs just above the water line, and you have to make sure that that egg clutch remains somewhat moist. Otherwise, they're going to dry out and you won't have mystery snails. So if you're interested in breeding them, certainly the shrimp might be the easier way to go.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed this battle of the invertebrates, and make sure you leave a comment below. Let us know which is your favorite invertebrate and why.
And again, if you want more information on mystery snails, check out the video on the upper part of the screen. If you want more information on shrimp, the video on the lower part will certainly get you started. Appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next one.
Have a good week.